The Forgotten Children. Galaxy had changed beyond recognition in the 75 years since humanity vanished into the void sector. What once was a collection of independent worlds and species had become something far more controlled and predictable. The Dominion Alliance ruled with careful precision from their crystal cities on Prima Nexus, ensuring that chaos and unpredictability never again threatened galactic peace. Chancellor Vexstar stood in his observation chamber, watching cargo ships move through hyperspace lanes with the regularity of clockwork. His elongated form and silver skin reflected the soft lights of the monitoring stations, where his subordinates tracked every vessel in known space. The Dominion had achieved what previous galactic governments never could: complete order throughout the civilized worlds. The humans were gone, and the galaxy was finally safe. Captain Elena Vasquez piloted her stealth frigate through the dark matter storms that surrounded humanity's hidden territories. The ship moved without any energy signature that Dominion sensors could detect, using technology that had been developed during decades of isolation in the most dangerous region of space. Her crew of 12 represented the best of what humanity had become during their long exile from galactic civilization. Elena's dark eyes scanned the sensor displays as her ship emerged from the storm barrier that protected human space. Beyond lay the Outer Rim territories, where Dominion patrol ships maintained their watch for threats that no longer existed. The aliens believed that humanity had either died out in the void sector or regressed to primitive survival. They were wrong on both counts. Dr. Marcus Chon worked in the research laboratories deep within Sanctuary Station, humanity's greatest achievement during their forced isolation. The massive space habitat housed 3 million people and represented technology that surpassed anything the Dominion possessed. Chon's weathered hands moved across holographic displays showing the results of his latest experiments with dimensional manipulation and quantum engineering. Breakthrough had come 5 years earlier when human scientists finally understood how to fold space itself into practical applications. While the Dominion continued using hyperspace lanes that took weeks to traverse, humans could now move instantly across vast distances using principles that other species had never discovered. The technology made their exile into an advantage that would soon reshape the balance of galactic power. Alana's mission was simple but dangerous. She needed to observe Dominion military operations without being detected while gathering intelligence about their current capabilities and weaknesses. The stealth frigate Phantom moved through hyperspace using conventional drives that would not attract attention, while its crew prepared for humanity's first look at galactic civilization in 3 generations. The ship dropped out of hyperspace near the Kepler mining complex, where Dominion forces maintained a significant military presence. Elena watched through passive sensors as alien patrol ships moved in perfect formations that never varied from their programmed routes. The sight confirmed what human intelligence had suspected. The Dominion had become dangerously complacent during humanity's absence. Commander Zara Blackwood reviewed tactical data from her position aboard the assault ship Reaper. Her special operations team had been conducting covert missions along the Dominion border for 6 months, studying alien military procedures and identifying weaknesses in their defense systems. What they discovered would have shocked the galaxy's rulers if they had known humans were still capable of such operations. The Dominion military followed rigid protocols that eliminated uncertainty, but also removed flexibility and creative thinking. Their commanders were chosen for their ability to follow established procedures, rather than their capacity for independent decision-making. Every battle plan was predetermined, every response was calculated, and every tactical situation was handled according to regulations. That had not changed in decades. Zara's team had infiltrated 17 different Dominion installations without triggering a single alarm. They moved like shadows through alien territory, gathering intelligence and planting surveillance devices that would provide real-time information when humanity finally revealed itself to the galaxy. The Dominion's security measures were designed to stop conventional threats, not the evolved humans who had spent decades learning to survive in impossible conditions. Admiral Sarah Cross commanded humanity's hidden fleet from the bridge of the super dreadnought Defiance. The massive ship was built using materials and techniques that did not exist in Dominion databases. Its armor could regenerate from battle damage. Its weapons ignored most known defensive systems, and its engines could generate the kind of power output that other species considered impossible. The human fleet consisted of 400 vessels ranging from small scouts to massive carriers, each one equipped with technology that represented humanity's determination to never again be vulnerable to alien threats. Every ship could operate independently for years while maintaining communication with the fleet through quantum entanglement networks that could not be intercepted or jammed. Sarah studied the tactical reports from reconnaissance missions throughout Dominion space. The information painted a picture of an empire that had grown soft and predictable during humanity's absence. The aliens had built their civilization around the assumption that threats would always come from known sources using familiar methods. They had forgotten that humans specialized in doing the unexpected. Dr. Chun's research team had made another breakthrough that would change everything. They discovered how to manipulate the quantum fields that held matter together, creating weapons that could phase through conventional defenses and strike targets at the molecular level. The technology was so advanced that Dominion scientists would need centuries to understand its basic principles, much less develop countermeasures. Alana's reconnaissance mission reached its climax when she observed a Dominion fleet exercise near the Vega system. 300 alien warships practiced maneuvers that followed patterns established decades earlier. Their formations were textbook perfect, their timing was precise, and their execution was flawless. It was also completely predictable to anyone who understood their tactical doctrine. Asterisk. The Dominion had spent 75 years perfecting a military system designed to fight the last war rather than preparing for new kinds of threats. Their ships were powerful and their crews were well trained, but they lacked the adaptability and innovation that had made humans so dangerous during their previous contact with galactic civilization. Chancellor Vexstar received reports about unusual sensor readings near the border systems, but his analysts dismissed them as equipment malfunctions or natural phenomena. The idea that human ships might be operating in Dominion space was so unlikely that it never occurred to anyone to investigate further. The Dominion's intelligence services were designed to monitor known threats, not to imagine new possibilities. President Maria Santos reviewed the reconnaissance data from her office in New Geneva, the capital city of humanity's largest colony world. The reports confirmed that the time had come to end their isolation and return to the galactic community. But humanity would not return as the same species that had been exiled 3 generations earlier. They had evolved, adapted, and grown into something far more formidable than the galaxy could imagine. The decision was unanimous among human leadership. Operation Homecoming would begin within 30 days, starting with diplomatic overtures backed by demonstrations of military capability that would convince the Dominion to negotiate rather than fight. Humanity had learned patience during their exile, but they had also learned that sometimes patience must be combined with overwhelming strength. Elena's final reconnaissance mission took her deep into Dominion core territory, where she observed the capital fleet that protected Prima Nexus itself. The sight of 5,000 alien warships arranged in perfect defensive formations would have terrified any conventional enemy. But Elena smiled as she watched them, knowing that humanity's return would render their entire strategic doctrine obsolete within hours. The Phantom completed its intelligence gathering and began the long journey back to human space. Elena's crew had seen enough to know that the Dominion was unprepared for what was coming. The galaxy's rulers had spent decades building a perfect system for fighting predictable enemies using conventional methods. They were about to discover that humans had never been conventional, and 75 years of isolation had made them far stranger than anyone could anticipate. Dr. Chun activated the first interstellar communication array as human colonies throughout the void sector prepared for their return to galactic affairs. The message was simple, but would shake the foundation of Dominion power when it finally reached Prima Nexus. Humanity was ready to come home, and the galaxy would have to decide whether they wanted humans as allies or enemies. Admiral Cross felt excitement building throughout human space as ships prepared to cross back into territory they had been forced to abandon. 75 years of exile were about to end, but humanity would not return as the same species that had been cast out. They had become something far more dangerous and far more capable than the Dominion's worst fears could imagine. The reckoning storm, the first sign of humanity's return, came as a whisper across Dominion communication networks. Ships reported strange energy signatures at the edge of sensor range. Patrol commanders found their schedules disrupted by vessels that appeared and vanished without following any known flight patterns. Intelligence analysts struggled to explain reports that made no sense according to established physics. Chancellor Vextar studied the reports with growing unease in his crystal chambers. High above Prima Nexus, the Dominion's greatest achievement was order, predictability, and control over every aspect of galactic civilization. These mysterious incidents suggested something beyond their understanding was operating in their territory. Fleet Admiral James Mitchell stood on the command bridge of the flagship Sovereign as humanity's main battle fleet prepared to emerge from the void sector. The massive ship led 200 other vessels through dimensional gates that brought them instantly to the border of Dominion space. Around them, space shimmered with energy signatures that would confuse alien sensors while announcing humanity's return in terms that could not be ignored. The human fleet appeared in 12 different star systems simultaneously, each group positioned to demonstrate tactical capabilities that the Dominion had never encountered. Their ships moved with precision that seemed impossible for vessels operating without central command coordination. Every captain knew exactly what to do without needing orders from Fleet Command. President Maria Santos prepared for the most important diplomatic mission in human history. She had spent years studying Dominion psychology and political structures during the exile period, understanding how alien minds processed concepts like negotiation and compromise. Her knowledge would be crucial for navigating the complex process of returning humanity to galactic civilization without triggering the kind of war that would devastate both sides. The first official contact came when Captain Elena Vasquez broadcast humanity's message to Dominion border stations. The communication reached Prima Nexus within hours, carrying words that would reshape the galaxy's political balance forever. This is Captain Elena Vasquez, representing the United Colonies of Humanity. We request formal diplomatic contact with Dominion leadership to discuss our return to galactic civilization. We come seeking peace, but we are prepared for any response you choose to make. War Marshal Krethek commanded the Dominion's military response from his fortress ship above Prima Nexus. The alien's armored carapace clicked with nervous energy as he studied tactical reports about human fleet movements. 3 generations of Dominion officers had been trained to fight conventional enemies using established methods. None of them had any idea how to respond to technology that violated fundamental principles of known science. The human ships moved through space using principles that Dominion scientists could not explain. They appeared and disappeared without using hyperspace lanes. Their weapons struck targets through defensive shields as if the barriers did not exist. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to coordinate their actions across vast distances without any detectable communication systems Dr. Yuki. Tanaka worked in the diplomatic section of President Santos's staff, preparing cultural briefings that would help human negotiators understand alien psychology during the coming discussions. Her research revealed that the Dominion species had developed rigid social structures during humanity's absence, creating a civilization that valued stability above all other considerations. Dominion's response came faster than anyone expected. Chancellor, Vextar authorized immediate military action against the human fleet before any diplomatic contact could be established. The decision reflected 75 years of conditioning that taught Dominion leaders to eliminate unpredictable elements before they could threaten Galactic. Stability. War Marshal Kree, FEC, launched 1,500 warships against human forces. In what became known as the Battle of Kepler's Gate, the Dominion fleet moved in perfect formations that had been refined through decades of training and exercise. Their tactics were flawless examples of military doctrine that had proven successful against every known enemy. Admiral Mitchell watched the alien fleet approach with something approaching pity. The Dominion ships moved exactly as human intelligence had predicted they would, following patterns that were beautiful in their precision and completely useless against enemies who understood how they thought. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. Human ships used dimensional manipulation technology to appear throughout the Dominion formation, while their weapons phased through alien shields to strike hulls directly. The enemy fleet found itself fighting ghosts that struck from impossible angles before vanishing into folds in space-time that their sensors could not detect. Commander Zara Blackwood led boarding actions against Dominion command ships while their crews struggled to understand what was happening. Her special operations teams moved through alien vessels like shadows, disabling weapons and capturing bridge officers before anyone realized they were under attack. The operations were conducted with precision that terrified aliens who had never encountered humans in close combat. War Marshal Krethek's flagship was captured intact when human soldiers appeared on his bridge through what seemed to be solid bulkheads. The alien commander found himself face to face with humans for the first time in his life, discovering that the stories from previous generations had failed to capture their true nature. These were not the crude primitives that Dominion propaganda described, but evolved beings who had spent decades learning to do the impossible. The surrender of the Dominion fleet sent shock waves throughout galactic civilization. Species that had never questioned the Empire's military supremacy suddenly began reconsidering their loyalty to leaders who could not protect them from threats they did not understand. President Santos arrived at Prima Nexus aboard the diplomatic vessel New Dawn, escorted by a small fleet that demonstrated human technological capabilities without making overt threats. Her ship used dimensional gates to appear directly in orbit around the Dominion capital, bypassing every defensive system that protected the most secure world in known space. Diplomatic meeting took place in the Dominion's Grand Assembly Hall, where representatives from dozens of species gathered to witness humanity's return to galactic affairs. Santos entered the chamber wearing simple human clothing that made no attempt to copy alien fashions, her calm confidence contrasting sharply with the nervous energy that filled the room. Honored delegates, Santos began, her voice carrying clearly through translation systems that converted her words into dozens of alien languages. Humanity returns to request our rightful place in galactic civilization. We have spent 75 years learning patience and wisdom in isolation. We come seeking partnership, not conquest. Chancellor Vestar's response reflected the fear and confusion that gripped Dominion leadership. Your species was exiled for excellent reasons. You showed no respect for established order or understanding of civilized behavior. Your return threatens the stability we have built during your absence. Santos smiled with warmth that made several delegates shift uncomfortably. We understand those fears and respect the concerns behind them. Humanity has evolved during our exile, learning to channel our innovative nature toward protecting rather than threatening galactic peace. We offer our partnership in facing challenges that your current methods cannot handle alone. Ambassador Finn O'Sullivan had prepared for months to present humanity's technological achievements in terms that would impress alien leaders without revealing too many secrets. His demonstration included medical advances that could extend alien lifespans by centuries, energy systems that would revolutionize galactic civilization, and defensive technologies that would protect worlds from any conceivable threat. Presentation continued for hours as delegates asked detailed questions about human capabilities and intentions. Santos answered each inquiry with honesty that slowly began building trust between species that had not interacted peacefully for 3 generations. The process was delicate, requiring her to demonstrate strength without appearing threatening while showing wisdom without seeming condescending. Dr. Marcus Chun's research breakthroughs became bargaining chips in negotiations that would determine humanity's future relationship with galactic civilization. The Dominion desperately needed human technology to maintain their control over increasingly restless member species, but they feared giving humans too much influence in galactic affairs. Asterisk. The final agreement established humanity as a full member of galactic civilization with territorial rights throughout the Void Sector and representation in the Dominion Council. In exchange, humans would share selected technologies and provide military assistance against external threats that conventional methods could not handle. Chancellor Vexstar signed the treaty with visible reluctance, knowing that his empire would never again enjoy the absolute control it had exercised during humanity's absence. The galaxy was entering a new age where order would have to coexist with innovation, stability would have to accommodate change, and predictability would have to make room for the endless creativity of human minds. Admiral Cross received reports of celebration throughout human space as news of the successful negotiations reached every colony and station in the Void Sector. 75 years of exile had ended not with humanity's submission to alien authority, but with their acceptance as equals who had earned their place through strength, wisdom, and determination. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had returned not as the crude primitives of alien propaganda, but as an evolved species that had learned to combine their natural innovation with hard-won wisdom. They brought gifts that would benefit all civilized worlds, while retaining the independence that had carried them through decades of isolation in the most dangerous region of space. President Santos stood on the observation deck of New Dawn as her ship prepared to return to human territory. Behind them lay Prima Nexus and the beginning of a new relationship between humanity and galactic civilization. Ahead lay the Void Sector, and the colonies that had proven human resilience could overcome any challenge the universe might present. The stars had no defense against humanity's return, because they had never understood what humans truly were. The galaxy was about to discover that isolation had not weakened Earth's children, but had forged them into something far more wonderful and terrible than anyone could have imagined. Asterisk.